What's going on? It's a brand new Coronation Overreaction live on a Sunday night. It is the last day of November, the last weekend of the regular season of college football 2025. Let's go around the horn and introduce everybody. Of course, Greg Mahotchko here, the face that runs the place. To my left, in a new Brady Bunch position, is Every Game Jake. And then up here in the Alice spot is Hoss Reuter. Gentlemen, good evening to you. I hope that your Thanksgiving weekend was as festive as it could be given the circumstances of Friday.
Hey, you got to ride the painted pony and let the spinning wheel spin sometimes.
That is a thing I don't think I've ever heard before.
It's canned heat or blood, sweat, and tears. One of the two. Fred will get it. I know Fred will get it.
Well, I guess we're just going to dive right into it. Black Friday was black indeed. Nebraska left that game black and blue with a quarterback with a torn hamstring and a 40-16 home loss to Iowa.
Has everyone here seen Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
I hope so. When Bruce Willis asks Ving Rhames, Marcellus Wallace, are you okay?
Nah, man.
I'm pretty fucking far from okay. That was me leaving Memorial Stadium. Katie and I left with 15 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. We just were like, that's it. We're gone. And I went to the game it was me and Katie, one of her really good friends, and then my sister and her boyfriend were also there. We all tailgated together before the game, then walked over. And my sister took a picture of me and Katie and her friend as we were going into the gate, and we all look happy. And afterwards, we're walking out. She shows us the picture, and she's like, remember when you guys looked like this just a few hours ago? And the only thing I could think of is it reminded me of those pictures of like British schoolboys being excited to go off and fight in World War I.
Jeez.
And then it shows the picture of them after like the Battle of Bellawood.
Shell
Battle of the Somme. And we walked back just dejected, just absolutely dejected. And there's just something that sits deeper in your stomach when you lose to a rival. It sits deeper in your stomach when you lose to a rival who you've spent most of your life, basically making a caricature out of their style of play and everything about them. And you have to be confronted with the fact that they are above us at this moment and have been for quite some time. And it really leaves you in a position of soul searching as a Husker fan, because when you look at those guys they have on the field, they're not more talented than we are. They're not more explosive, not faster. They're just better coached because they have a staff that has better, greater attention to detail than our staff does. And it makes me sick.
You mentioned this, and before I respond, Fred was early in the comments at 1:15 this afternoon, says, suck it, Iowa. Even though you crushed us, I don't consider you a rival. But you said made this point before we went live, and Nebraska is in year 3, and realistically, we've had so much turnover, even in Matt Rule's time. New wide receivers coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and defensive line coach, and hell, I think offensive line coach. Maybe not offensive line. Anyway,
no, Donnie's been here since.
That's right. I don't know what I was thinking, but by and large, it's been the same staff at Iowa for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm. A few additions here and there,
sure.
But
no major overhauls.
Bill Parker, their DC, he's been there since '99. Not in that position. He took over for Norm Parker, but other guys have always been inside that program, and there's a continuity, and that honestly I think we should long for. And that ties into the whole thing right now, how I feel. I'm pissed at our staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they just, phone it in when the smallest of things go wrong. But at the same time, like, I want that kind of continuity. I want that kind of stability where Nebraska can get to a point where it's not reinventing itself every 3 to 5 years.
I get. In fact, I made mention of that to those who may have taken the time to read the description on whichever Coronation platform you're enjoying us on, YouTube, Facebook, or X. When we went to Happy Valley, you could make the argument that we got out Jimmied and Joed, right? They just had better players. I don't think that maybe the lines are the different, and obviously the lines, but I would say that on paper, Nebraska had the better team, but once again, we failed to be prepared.
I have one last point, and then I want Jake to chime in. He's been sitting there as I've been just rambling on and on here.
Okay.
Our staff has zero fucking anticipation. They don't anticipate moves well. That's going offensively and defensively. And I know Dana's game plan got thrown out the window when TJ's injury happened. Before that, I thought it was a great game plan. Working the stretch gun run game, bash concepts, playing upon Iowa's defensive anticipation, the way they read their keys, the discipline of linebackers reading pulling guards, and moving those guards the wrong way on the bash sweep, which was Emmett's long run. But defensively, you could call that game sitting in the stands or on your recliner at home. It was going to be inside zone on the first down for Iowa. It was going to be a quarterback run or some variant on second down, maybe a zone read. Third down, it was going to be a movement pass, a bootleg, a rollout, some form of RPO to the flat, to the tight end. And we just never anticipated well. And that all comes down to Butler and the alignments that I've been talking about all season, where it's like schematically on the whiteboard, it looks great. You're slinging fits one way, hey, if the quarterback turns to, this way on a RPO, you're playing coverage. If he turns away from you, you're slinging into the fit on the front side of the run. That's all great, but Butler does it from depth, where in the Big Ten Conference, the way offensive lines and defensive lines are built, just run the ball and stop the run, you have to cancel out stuff by alignment. You can't leave bubbles up front. We switched to a bear front, 2-3 technique defensive tackles and a 0 technique nose guard, and we still got gashed continually on inside zone. It's just a hodgepodge of defensive concepts in the front seven that Butler runs. He's a great coverage DC. He'd probably be a phenomenal Big 12 defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, we don't reside in the Big 12 conference anymore.
Let's see. There were a couple of comments here. 76 Raiders with one. Our staff seems way more interested in the end result than taking care of the steps that get you there.
Amen. I hated when Bo Pelini would say, trust the process, but trust the process. It goes into incremental improvement, learning lessons, all the axioms I like to spew out on here. You have to be process oriented, not outcome focused. It's time that we get back as a program to being substance over style.
Yeah.
And then along that same line of thinking, living in Omaha, David Matney said, I don't know if we ever broached this subject, but he says it's hard to pay attention to detail when you have to prepare for a coach's podcast.
Can I? Okay.
Go.
So,
because this comes up, Mr. Matney brings this up every week.
No, I'm on board with Matney here. I've got some opinions on this.
Well, and we haven't talked about this either. You and I
don't think we have.
So like even personally, so I have a feeling our opinions might differ. I don't have a problem with it because I think I understand what Coach Rule is trying to do. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to make himself very like visual and have like an online media presence, something a lot of coaches haven't done before. And I think he's trying to be like on the cutting edge of that. Where that becomes a laughing stock joke is when the results aren't there. So then it just seems like, what are you doing, man? You're on Pat McAfee every week to talk about how you got blown out again. And and when I say blown out again, not to detract too much from the original question, but we're worse now than we were when we kicked the season off. And I know we had injuries and we lost. Oh, yeah. I understand all that. But I'm talking about the mainstays, like other than a few guys, like other than EJ, Pritchett comes to mind. Let's see. both corners.
Yep.
And Watson Trent, I feel like every other position, every other player on the field has regressed.
Yeah, I mean, so many guys faded around Halloween, and Rostovsky pointed that out in October. We're getting to that point in the season where true freshmen and redshirt freshmen who are first-time stars are going to start fading a little bit, falling back. Rex Guthrie is one of them. I still think he's going to be a great player, but he regressed tremendously through the month of November as he kind of hit that freshman wall.
Yeah, he looks green out there. Hey, Greg, can we someone asked Vince Watson at 9-11. Osborne did a show every week too. Then
is that like the Sports Nightly though?
Yeah. And that's where I have some opinions on it, where it's like Osborne did a show that took 30 minutes, 60 minutes, directly right after games or the day after games. And it's continued with each coach we have. But you're talking Rule takes 2 hours, 2 additional hours of his week to do this. And I'm at a point where it's like, don't tell me about the labor, show me the baby.
I don't care how long your show is, brother. If you're winning games, I could give a shit. I don't care if you have a 6-hour-long show.
That's where I'm at as well. But until you get to that point, you better be nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point, too, where I'm like, I'd rather have him be a crusty old curmudgeon, or as Bill Callahan said, a crusty old fuck, with the media, and just really dial in on coaching football and developing this program.
So we're talking about this for the first time, but like I said, this topic comes up almost every Thursday night. Usually it's Mr. Matney who brings it up, and we don't spend a whole lot of time on it. Aaron Rostovsky clearly in the camp of let him go out there, be visible, and build the brand, to the point where he says, so barricade them in the football offices 24/7, Fred. And I don't think that's obviously the answer, because
they're paid handsomely to do just that.
They have families, and then there's other, things. But to Fred's point, says it's symptomatic. I feel like everyone's busier building a brand than focusing on football. Does Ferentz do a podcast? Do they debate alt uniforms, etc.? So I think
winning just cures all that.
What's that?
Winning cures all that.
Right.
It just, to me, it feels like it's really silly to have a house rules podcast when you're a coach for a 7-5 team with a cupcake schedule. Mm-hmm. Which brings me around to, do we want to start with the was this a successful season question real quick, or do we want to wait?
I think let's zoom out to the Iowa game. Let's talk about the season in totality.
What did you say about the Iowa game, Haas?
I said let's zoom out from the Iowa game momentarily, and let's talk about the season.
Because I don't want that comment to get lost, because I think this is a great talking point.
I can star the comments, so I had that ready to go.
But this, at the beginning of the show, it was asked, and I just, I don't care what order we go in, but I would say no, this is not a successful season based on the criteria of the opponents we beat, the opponents we lost to, and the fashion in which we lost to 3 of those opponents: Minnesota, Penn State, and Iowa. So that's why, to me, this is not a successful season.
We had 7 home games, 1 neutral site game, which might as well have been a home game, and 4 true road games. And we went 2-2 on the road. Again, I'm counting the opener at Arrowhead as neutral site, but the loss to Michigan, the loss to USC, good teams, and we lost to them, I think, by a combined 6 points. Somebody fact check me, but that feel like that's pretty close. But we lost to Minnesota and Penn State on the road in games that, didn't look like we even made the trip. And then against Iowa, we were just credit Emmett Johnson for single-handedly trying to do everything he could do, but he can't play defense, and he can't, throw the ball and catch the ball all the time. He still had, and I've got the number here, bear with me. He still had 217 yards. Think about this, 217 yards. I know, you take away that big 70-yard run, and that's still 147 if my math is right. Most
147 yards should be enough to beat Iowa anytime.
217 yards against Iowa is nearly unheard of.
Well, Jake and I were talking yesterday when I saw him in person, and I told him, hey, if you would have told me Thursday night on Thanksgiving night, the score is going to be 40-16. You don't know who won, who lost, but Emmett Johnson's going to run for 217 on 29 carries. I would have thought, take it to the bank. Nebraska scored 40 and blew out Iowa.
100. I would have thought there's not a chance in hell it was the other way around.
Only time you see a guy rush for that many yards and the team gets beat that bad is look at Barry Sanders when he was at Oklahoma State.
Or Detroit.
Or I was going to say, or Detroit.
But yeah, like I'm with Jake. You know, I don't view this as a successful season. I really don't. Like 7-5 is progress on paper only. And it feels honestly like getting to a bowl game. And I know we just went through damn near a decade-long drought of not going to bowls, but it feels a little bit like a Pyrrhic victory. You're kind of like, yeah, we got there. We're going to a bowl again. But when you look at it, had Michigan circled, we lost to Michigan. Didn't show up for Minnesota. USC, Rostovsky has a great point. We had them on the ropes at one point. We were 6-2 and in control of that game, but we still lost that game. And that attention to detail that I talked about with our staff goes back to you didn't have a package of plays ready for Lateef to step in those situations. Something that you've repped going back to spring when you were installing your base offense, fall camp when you were working on stuff situationally. And then to show up to a 4-6 Penn State team and get your doors blown off. And then Iowa absolutely just grabs you by the back of the head and rubs your nose in the dirt. It's disappointing.
That's being generous to where they.
Right? I mean, when you look at potential bowl matchups, Utah and the Las Vegas Bowl, fuck. I want no part of that. Vanderbilt, you want to see Pavia rush for 300? About the only one that I'd feel decent about would be LSU, and even then, they're more athletic than we are.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Then we're assuming if there's improvement that we win the bowl game. If we finish 7-6, if we lose the bowl game, then we have the same record that we had last year, but we lost the last 3 games, 4 of the last 5, maybe 6 of the last 7. I'd have to go back and do math. I don't think 6 of the last 7, but 4 of the last 5, and like, what are we, then we're right back where we were a year ago, except we feel worse about it because we're going into the offseason on a loss instead of a win.
Greg, can you bring up James Boardman's comment from 9/19?
I can. I got to find it, but yeah. James Boardman. He says we were a few plays. Nebraska was a few plays away from being 4-8. Cincy, Michigan State, Maryland could have easily gone the other way.
This is a conversation that I don't know if we've had it on the show, but I've talked about it with like Jake before. Just talked about it yesterday, actually. If you took Ty and Nash off the 2024 Nebraska team, that's a 4-8 football team. If you took Emmett Johnson off of this year's football team, I think there's a legitimate chance that this team was a 3-9 team. 3-9. Maybe even 2-10. At any rate, it's sub 500. We regressed so terribly from the beginning of the year to the end, and nobody on the staff looked like they knew how to troubleshoot it.
I would almost venture to say, the Cincinnati game was close. Cincinnati game was won thanks to Malcolm Hartzog, who unfortunately got hurt, I think the next week or maybe even on that play. Akron and Houston Christian, and then it was a rock fight. Mm-hmm. And it should be. I mean, conference play should be there. We're not equipped to mow over conference teams. For whatever reason, everybody seems to be equipped to mow over us, and it's just the I think what infuriates me the most is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, this one makes me chuckle, but it's coming from Mr. Matty, but it's problematic in that we just kept trying the same shit. Like, thank God we actually kicked a field goal yesterday, Friday, instead of trying to go for it on 4th down early on. But, Matney says next year when it's 4th and 1, are we going to drag Harburg out of the stands? Like why are we telegraphing some of that stuff? And by the way,
oh, that can't end soon enough, Matney. That can't end soon enough.
I mean, you moved him from quarterback to tight end, and he put on a bunch of tight end weight. It certainly looked like, he lost some speed. He was not the same Heinrich Harburg he was 2 years ago when he was running up and down the field in Champaign. Why did we think that any of that was a good idea? Why did we think that, and Haas, I know you weren't here, but why did we think that, on the 2-yard line at Penn State in the opening drive, trying to go for it instead of kicking the field goal, getting the points on the road was a good idea? Why
Corcoran assignment on that play?
Why are we shorting ourselves routinely and shooting ourselves in the foot? I can't handle that ineptitude.
The biggest tragedy of that, Greg, was then allowing Penn State to go 98 yards. Because nobody would have gave a shit if you would have shut them down 3 and out and then had the ball on a short field.
Sure.
Yep.
And yeah, we can talk about injuries too, right? They definitely are a big impact. We lost some key players, but everybody has injuries. It's not just Nebraska, guys. Every team in the country has injuries. And the house of cards doesn't always fall like it does here.
That because I don't believe that, but I'm going to save it for later. I'm just going to say DCK. I don't know what it stands for. I'm not going to assume one of them to step up for Emmett. My gosh, there weren't. I'm not doubting effort from the players. I'm doubting execution. But you can't say that about Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson gave everything. We've talked about this a few weeks ago. As much as I loved watching him this year, especially when we finally abandoned the running back by committee approach and had a number one who ran for, I think, ended up being close to 1,500 yards, if not more. I want him to go to the NFL. I don't want to see Emmett Johnson back in Lincoln next year. That would be horrible for him.
At a position in the NFL where you're whacked by the time you're 30, 28 anymore, go make your money, dude.
I mean, I've thought this for a while now, but I was watching the Bills game tonight, and he reminds me a lot of James Cook, that running style. He's a little bit thicker than Cook is, but Cook's got a little a step of speed on him. But Emmett can make anybody miss in a phone booth, and I want to see a Husker running back go have success in the NFL.
Needs to happen.
It needs to happen. Now, if I saw that he's announcing that he's coming back for another year, selfishly, I'd be absolutely psyched because that'd be huge to have him back. But it's in his best interest to go now.
I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm going to throw this one up. I don't know if I'm ready to announce that, but Matney says, is Iowa the game we look back to and say that was the beginning of the end of the Rule era?
I'm not ready to announce that either. I mean, Friday was about the most disappointing day I've had as a Husker fan. And I sat through every minute of 70-10 against Texas Tech in 2004. But this one was bad. But at the same time, I keep getting back to the fact where it's progress, calling the season progress is kind of a Pyrrhic victory. It's progress on paper only. But I think what this program needs is stability. It needs stability, and you continue building. You find ways to fix issues as they come up and get better year over year. Needless to say, we haven't seen that. I mean, we did not get better from the end of last year to the end of this year. No. Anyone who would try to argue that is just being intellectually dishonest when it comes to the game of football. But at the same time, I mean, we've chased out a couple of 9-win coaches, and look what happened. So I'm just kind of sitting back and taking it as it comes and just kind of, staying a little bit more of a cautious evaluation approach.
And, this kind of circles back to what we talked about at the very beginning about stability, right? Solich, Callahan, Pelini. This is always tough. Riley, Frost, Rule.
I think you should have that same vitriol in your voice for Frost more than anything.
Me?
Yeah.
Frost. 6 head coaches. Iowa has had 1 head coach in that time.
Got to get better fundamentally. And I think a big part of that is we as a program need to quit having this smugness about ourselves when it comes to how we want to play football and face the facts as they are, the bald-faced truth, and just work with what we have and become a developmental program. And I know a lot of people scoff and they won't like that and they want something sexier than that. But when it's 3rd and 1, it's 3rd and 1 between the lines. It doesn't matter about your fan base or your godforsaken sellout streak that nobody else in college football cares about,
right?
Or your facilities or your resources. It's about how well you teach and develop guys to block and tackle.
There was an extension signed earlier this year, so I think the answer is no. I will put the comment up there and get your guys' input. We'll start with you, Jake. Joel Tilson says, Rule make or break season next year.
Well, we're married to the guy now, so you better hope that it's – I mean, the reality is we're not even in a position to discuss letting him go with the extension. The most disturbing thing for me is when you look at what happened with Wisconsin with this dark cloud hanging over that, Fickles and his staff's head and, a lot of rumors he was going to be fired, whatever. They gave him an extension, and then Wisconsin got better. We announced that Rule was getting an extension, and we got markedly worse and completely fell apart. So, no, it's not a make or break season unless something even more catastrophic happens.
I think I have 2 thoughts on this question from Joel. I think a 6-6 season next year, 7-5 season, I think Rule still survives. But I think heading into 2027, that heat is damn near unbearable on a seat.
Is that?
So I think 2027 would be the make or break season.
Is that partially because of the perceived strength of schedule next year?
Yeah, and I mean we're going to be breaking in some starters at new spots. I think it's not a foregone conclusion that we could be breaking in a new coordinator at least on one side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line needs to be retooled with the new O-line coach. And I just think that right now on the defensive front, unless we strike gold in the portal with about 3 guys, that defense is not going to be very good next year. So I think that we've got a lot of work to do. I'd be willing 8-4 next year. I'd be over the moon with that schedule. Means you probably lose to Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, and probably one other. We also got to play Washington. Of course, we have Iowa. But at the same time, 8-4, I would take that in a heartbeat with that schedule. Now, that being said about
I'm not ready to start looking that far ahead yet.
Jake started saying, we're married to the guy. Let's just do a little bit of, coordination theater here, purely fiction, just conjecture. What happens if Penn State strikes out so badly on their coaching search that they circle back to Rule? And they pay the buyout money and they get him? I'm pretty damn ambivalent about Rule leaving at this point. And if that happened, I'd say, hey, I think Nebraska needs to look at the FCS level for a head coach, a guy that's run a program for a long time.
You can have a hair salon in Happy Valley as much as you can in Lincoln.
Yeah. And if we had to hire a new coach, I would say throw a shit ton of money at Tim Polacek or Polacek. I don't speak Polish, and I'm not Polish, so I don't know how it's pronounced, at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
That's the kind of brand of football that Nebraska, I think, is a recipe for success.
But who was their coach that went to Wyoming?
Craig Bull.
Craig Bull. He's out of the game now, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
He's retired. I don't.
Oh no, that's fine. But I know that
he's a little persona non grata around Lincoln after his defensive coordinator stint here.
Well, I know that he had a ton of success at NDSU, and it didn't translate to Laramie. Although I can't imagine Laramie.
That's probably the toughest D1 job in America.
Yeah.
There's another guy, Jason Eck, former assistant at South Dakota State, went to Idaho. Now he's at New Mexico. Went 9-3 this year at New Mexico. That's another damn good coach. I think if we were in this situation, again, this is purely hypothetical, go look outside the box on your hire. Don't fall in love with the rock star sexy name. Go find a fucking football coach.
Because let's face it, I saw this from, I don't know if it was Yahoo Sports, about Lane Kiffin and his coaching travels in the last 20 years. And like, he's been coast to coast, and now of course he's at LSU. I know you said Haas at one point, if it wasn't Matt Rule, or if Matt Rule went to Penn State, you'd want back the money truck up to Lane. He has Nebraska ties, obviously. I think he's born in Nebraska. But realistically, is that a guy who would stick around for more than a couple of years? I don't know.
No, he great. I mean, you're seeing all the stuff coming out of Ole Miss now. He grates on people. And his extramarital type. He was divorced, but sliding into DMs, all the screenshots that are coming out. It's like it's a guy that he's a phenomenal football coach. He's an offensive, wizard. But at the end of the day, I want somebody that's just focused on football.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like that needs to be their lifeblood, but I mean, guy, look, you're paid that way for a reason, to be dedicated 100% to your craft. You can still make time for your family, but when you look at who are the most successful people, they're people that are singularly focused. I mean, could you imagine Nick Saban doing the House Rules podcast?
Nope. He's still worried about winning football.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing, like,
and I guess
who cares about style? Just win.
And I know they're not completely apples and apples, because Alabama's brand is up here right now and Nebraska's brand is not, so they don't have to do anything flashy they just say we're Alabama.
Yeah, but look at when Saban rolled in there in 2007 after they were down for 25 years. Yeah, they won their 92 national championship. That's kind of similar to Nebraska had that brief little uptick in 2009 and 10 when they were good enough to compete for a national championship. But Saban was no nonsense.
Sure.
It was all about, the process, getting better.
And I would also say, to be devil's advocate, that the landscape of college football was drastically different in 2007 than it is in 25.
It is. I mean, the portal, NIL. But at the end of the day, teaching somebody how to reach block a 3 technique is still teaching somebody how to reach block a 3 technique. Yeah. And that's something that we don't do we're not very good at Nebraska.
I think you both are uniquely qualified to address another Joel Tilson question. New S&C coach coming to the Huskers?
That's a good question, because I have not been a big fan of how we've looked physique-wise this year.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it a strength and conditioning problem, or is it a technique problem?
I mean, they go hand in hand.
They do. I don't know if one's – I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, did you see the injury report that got released for the Nebraska-Iowa game?
Not like the official report.
Iowa had like 3 guys that were out for the season. Ours was a laundry list of guys. Now, I know some of them, they occurred in football, on the football field. That happens. It's a violent sport. It's a combat sport, as Jake always says. But there's a lot of soft tissue nagging injuries that seem to crop up too, where that's usually the biggest indication that your strength and conditioning is a little bit lacking.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, what the fuck did happen?
I just buzzed it down. There's still hair there. I just buzzed it down. I was tired of it.
I'm right there with you, dude.
I mean, here, I'll just do what you guys do. I'll just put a hat on and nobody knows how much hair I have or don't have.
Got the fit hat. You kind of look like Fred Durst with the fit hat.
Well, it's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt Saturday morning.
Let's see. Minnie's here. Hello, Minnie. Got done with her ladies of college football, which I got put in timeout on a YouTube channel tonight. That was kind of fun. All I did was ask or made a comment because that show is, it's supposed to be about college football. It's primarily about Ohio State and whoever they're playing, which, of course, was Michigan. And there were the theatrics by Brutus Buckeye of doing the script Ohio and putting a big X through the M in Michigan. And I just made a nice, polite comment about I don't want to hear anybody from Ohio bitching if they lose at home and the opposing team goes to plant their flag at the 50. And the number of Ohio State fans in there just, chewed my ass a little bit. And that's fine. That's fine. And then I said, wait a minute. Were there any other games played this weekend? Like, is there anything else going on in college football? And then I got put in timeout. So don't go over to go watch the show. It's for them. Just if you want to hear something more than Ohio State, just keep your mouth shut and just wait.
They act like they invented the damn sport.
They didn't. We know that was Rutgers.
Yep. Amos Alonzo Stagg.
Let's see. Greg's a winner. We don't care about it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Matty. Yeah, she liked my comments. She highlighted them, and that's what got me in trouble. So, all right. We do have some more start comments on this show, and it's about the family Raiola. Mr. Matney, who does occasionally like to stir the pot, says, question, behind the scenes, how much influence, if any, did Dominic Raiola have over the team / Matt Rule, or is this question just a crazy conspiracy theory? This is not a tinfoil hat, but you guys want to guess, weigh in?
I think it was considerable influence.
I don't know. I have no inside. I don't know a guy who knows a guy who works in the department or something, but my suspicion and my feeling based solely on vibes is that he had way too much influence for it to be a healthy dynamic.
Road the Farm Up says too much. College football history says way too much.
Yeah.
And Rostovsky just rolled his eyes. So I don't know if Rostovsky's in the best mood tonight. Aaron, do we need a wellness check on you, man? You doing okay? Like, we're worried. You don't usually skew this adversarial. So. Tony, our Minnesota fan, says progress, but slow progress. 6-6 last year to 7-5 this year. So we'll see how the bowl game goes, I suppose. Where it goes, how it goes. And speaking of, Highlander Gun says, what is the bowl situation looking like? I've seen Vegas. I've seen Nashville. I've seen Orlando as possibilities. Or Arizona, like Tucson.
Guaranteed rate bowl.
But, I mean, we want the bowl game because we want 13 extra practices. Like we're not bitching about a bowl game. It's unfortunate that the season nosedived here in the latter half of November.
I don't have any speculation on where we're going to end up.
No, honestly, end up in a bowl game going up against an opponent that we are outgunned.
And then the question is how many of our players, I mean, we have the players have the choice to sit out a bowl game now. So how many of our players would choose to do that? Hopefully not.
Well, luckily we don't have a ton of guys waiting on big NFL opportunities. So I don't know. Hopefully not a lot, but
well, who knows? Portal changes now are a little different because that window's open January 2nd, but guys might just say no.
Rostovsky says Vegas picks first of the bunch that Nebraska's likely to be eligible for, and the way Husker Nation has shown up on the West Coast this season, they won't let us slide. Hey, that is about the only thing attractive about inviting Nebraska to your bowl is the fact that Nebraska fans will show up. And of course, the Bulls don't actually send those invitations out until college or conference championship day. And
we'll find out Sunday morning.
Yeah. Let's see. More quarterback talk here. Brian Bauer says Donovan wanted a raise for Dylan and Dayton, and Rule told them no. this is all speculation, but rumor is that Uncle Donnie's being canned tomorrow.
I've heard the same thing.
Okay. Corroborate. I don't know about corroborating, just two different sources. So.
Yeah, I mean, could just be pure bullshit, but you know, that's what I've heard it.
Let's see. TSD says, I'm just worried young guys think they aren't developing here and leave.
I think Ja'Cory Barney will be a big portal loss.
It's interesting you say that.
He's on a milk carton. I know. I saw the tweet, Instagram stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron Keene says, saw some posts regarding Lateef and Barney posting cryptic messages alluding to leaving on Instagram, then deleting them. So,
yeah, I saw that too.
That'd be
season.
That would not be ideal to lose either of them, but both of them, and especially Lateef. And we don't know what Dylan's situation is. So, and I don't know. I made this comment on Wednesday. Of course, we did 5-part on Wednesday because of Thanksgiving. How much of it, and let's face it, when players are getting paid now and money is being exchanged for goods and or services, how much of a commodity is Dylan Raiola with a broken fibula? Is that something that teams are going to want to take a chance on and pay money for?
Somebody will overpay for him.
Okay. Just because it's the market right now?
Yeah, market right now. I mean, he's put some good stuff on tape. He's just not what Nebraska needed to be successful right now, the way the rest of our roster is built.
Let's see. Rostowski said, I mean, Barney had some nice returns, didn't he? He ran a punt back for a touchdown, didn't he? I mean, he's doing some nice things. It just, yeah, I think
he disappeared since halfway through the season, like Rostowski said.
Right, but that's not. It almost feels like they stopped looking his way on offense.
Well,
you know,
honestly, his snap counts were way down.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, he just wasn't getting reps.
I mean, and part of that might have been. Tell me if I'm talking out of school. They needed to bring in extra bigger bodies for run blocking and pass protection, right? I mean,
true, but I mean, Caden Wheatgen from Iowa is not the biggest guy in the world. He's a certifiable weapon. I mean, you find a way to showcase guys that are athletic. You find a way to use them. I mean, blocking can be taught. I mean, Nebraska had great blockers at the position at wideout, like Abdul Muhammad, who was 5'8", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So find a way. Coach your guys up.
One of the undersized guys that always, I always think about is Darren Sproles. Now I know he was more of a running back than a slot receiver, but like again, when his reps are down, his ability to showcase what he can do, he's electric when he could touch the ball and have some space. Those were two things that we struggled with, is getting him the ball and, getting any of our receivers by and large the ball in space. So Vince Watson says too many players playing for the paycheck and not the pride of the school. And that's just the nature of the game at this point, right?
Yep.
I think you'll have some guys who legit want to be Nebraska Cornhuskers. And then you'll have
it's the nature of the beast now. But yeah, I mean, still at the same time, you want guys, whether they're from, York, Nebraska, or Yorba Linda, California, you want guys to, want to be a part of the program that they signed with. Have some pride, if not in the school and in themselves and how they play.
We've talked a little bit about this. Dana's play calling left a bit to be desired, according to Brian Bauer, and that's. I remember hearing this at the very beginning of the season. I don't think much changed, that he was still running the center field offense and never implemented his system.
Well, it goes back to like what I said just about the first half of the Iowa game. Before TJ Lateef got hurt, we were able to run a lot of read concepts, whether it's dive read out of the pistol or bash sweep out of the shotgun, mix in some misdirection with a read, get Iowa's linebackers, confused, and clouding their reads. But once TJ went out, what did we do? We settled into an under center offense, and we kept trying to roll them out on play action passes instead of, staying in the gun, utilizing space. And so it just didn't feel like there was a good plan B for what happened.
And the ball was sailing on him because he couldn't plant.
Yeah, he couldn't plant at all.
So people are like, well, oh, look it up. I heard that. I saw this a couple times on Twitter, X. People like really criticizing the guy about it, his overthrows. It's like he's been throwing the ball the same way his whole life, and now he can't plant.
Yep.
I mean, he threw some nice passes early in the game that were dropped. Of course, you look at you look at his stats and you go, woof. Yeah. But if you kind of if you don't know exactly what happened, then you can the nuance of the injury and everything and how it basically not only did it affect the way he played, but it greatly impacted the play calling.
And to the point about Lateef, nothing in the past 2 games has changed my opinion on the guy. I think he's very talented. I think he could be a great quarterback for us. I hope he sticks around. I think that element that he provides is exactly what Nebraska needs to build an identity around.
I just had a really interesting thought for those that have seen the movie Miracle, Kurt Russell, about the 1980 Olympic U.S. hockey team. There's a part early in the movie where they have this big tryout, like, I don't know, 120 players or something, all the best college players in the country. And it's supposed to be like a 3-day tryout. And the assistant coach that's there with him, they sit down and, he tries to come up with a game plan for like the next day, what they're going to do. And Kurt Russell playing Herb Brooks hands him the sheet of paper with like all the names that they're going to take into the like camp or whatever. And he was like, geez, Herb, it's the first day. You're missing a lot of the best players. And he goes, I'm not looking for you're missing a lot of the best players. I'm not looking for the best players, Craig. I'm looking for the right ones. And I think that's something, I know I kind of like fumbled that around a little bit, but like that's kind of what I think we're getting at. We talk about Raiola potentially, like he's, maybe the best player for a lot of teams in the country. I don't think he's the best player for what we have going on right now, necessarily.
Mobility at the quarterback position masks a lot of issues.
And I'm not saying I want Dylan to leave either, if I can be clear about that. I don't have any control over that. I'm not saying I want him to leave or I don't want whatever, but I definitely don't think he's like the best choice we have for how this roster is built, like you said earlier.
I'm pretty ambivalent about Dylan leaving. I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? It's not a fit for his talents are not a fit for the rest of the roster. Schematically, it puts us at a disadvantage by not being able to play 11-on-11 football with a mobile quarterback. So I guess if he were to come back, I'd like to see a lot of changes in how we operate on offense. I'd like to see, some little bit, maybe take the reins away from him a little bit and his freedom to audible and check at the line of scrimmage into something else. Because I think against UCLA, what you saw was a quarterback that trusted the game plan, a quarterback that trusted his preparation throughout the week instead of checking into, they're in this coverage, I'm going to throw the deep ball. Well, can't protect long enough for the deep ball. So you got to make, it's kind of you just got to pick your poison and you just got to ride it out.
I don't know. This comment is a hell of an indictment against Nebraska's defense. And it comes from college football history, which is John's. It's his burner YouTube. 100%. Every time a Big Ten team reached the red zone against Nebraska, it scored. 28 trips inside Nebraska's 20 and 28 scores. 22 of those 28 trips, 78.6%. Big Ten opponents scored touchdowns.
That's one of the things that drove me nuts about John Butler talking about how great we are at keeping teams out of the red zone. Who cares if you don't keep teams out of the red zone, if you're giving up long touchdowns or when they get in there, they're still scoring on you. That was almost like a LeBron stat.
Yeah, you can dress it up with as many look, I can sit here and say unequivocally, this is the number one Husker fan show, YouTube, podcast, whatever, live at 9:00 on a Sunday night, starting 3 guys. I can say that unequivocally. You can put all of these conditions on there. That's like saying that I'm my mom's favorite son. Yeah, I'm 1 out of 1 as far as, like when you break it down, you just have to make stops. Like, how many times this season did we let teams off the hook routinely on third down? Like,
how many times are we going to defy the laws of statistics? That doesn't even, I didn't know about that stat.
I didn't know not until now.
You think you'd
and that was from Sam McEwen, by the way. He shared that from Sam.
You'd accidentally stumble your way into stopping somebody.
You'd accidentally like fucking fall on a fumble or something. Like somehow something would happen. That is ineptitude at I wasn't gonna rant because I didn't have the like energy level for it tonight, but like I'm like, I don't even know. That's insane. That is a statistical catastrophe.
Anomaly.
You don't even accidentally have like a ball tipped at the line and you come down and you go 27-28 against opponent's score. That's unbelievable. That's all I have to say about that. That's holy shit.
Yeah, like you said, we should fall ass backwards into a stop. And then the number of times that we got stopped in similar situations on fourth down, especially opportunities to take points. Yeah, quote unquote, settle for points, but it's still points. And points is better than no points.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not like Boardman just said, not even a missed field goal. God.
Well, holy Adam. We appreciate you for supporting John Johnston's 401k here. $20 super chat says Rule must replace Butler at defensive coordinator. That is a must. We appreciate your generosity. Start putting my Venmo out here so I can actually see some of the money.
What I think in line with this about replacing Butler, I think if this is something that does occur, Rule needs to go the group of 5 head coach or FCS head coach who wants to step up to be a coordinator at the FBS level in a Power 4 conference. Somebody that's been doing it a long time, somebody that has been there, done that. They don't get surprised. That's what I loved about Northwestern under Fitzgerald with Mike Hankwitz as defensive coordinator. An old warhorse DC that knows how to defend wing T principles if teams are going to implement them into the spread. Somebody that knows, some of the junk defenses that have fallen out of favor, since the 60s and 70s that work against certain schemes, or how to coach a player's technique so they don't get reached on a certain block. This is not a position where guys can cut their teeth. I mean, we wanted to clown Tony White earlier this year. The guy put together a top 30 defense at Florida State. I would feel for that right now.
I'm gonna be honest too. I'm just a 4-3-3-4 like base D guy. It's just my preference.
Mm-hmm.
I think that any and all, defensive bases can work. Like 3-3-5 could, whatever, if you have the personnel built for it. But I just don't. This is a personal thing. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Not in the Big Ten.
Well, I think 4-3 or 3-4. Start seeing with the 4-3. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jake.
No, I was done. Go for it.
One of the things with the 4-3, I think you'll see that come back in style in college football because you're starting to see this move more towards run-based offenses. Teams really implementing, offenses that take advantage of 3-3-5 or 3-4 hybrids that have lighter personnel on the field. So I think that next move to counter these run schemes you're seeing emerge again in college football is to be able to play a 4-man front, close down gaps by alignment, play just a little heavier against the run.
It's the way God intended.
Mm-hmm.
4 down linemen, 3 linebackers.
But by the way,
Mike, Will, and Sam, the 3 wise men.
There you go.
John and Rostovsky, not the only coordination crew that are in Mini, of course, not the only coordination crew that are in the chat. I got a text from our wonderful friend Nate McHugh, and he says that's a LeBron stat. No, that's a Michael Jordan stat, an overrated unit. And I said wrong. He's anti-Jordan to his core. So thanks, Nate. You can put those comments in the chat instead of texting me.
Yeah, well, come to the party, Nate.
Gary Pierce, I have to highlight this one just because I've never heard this phrase before. and I'm very curious as to its origins, but he says you can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear. He says the only thing that improved was special teams. That's the Mike Eckler effect. Have you guys ever heard you can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear?
No, I don't believe I have.
No.
I
It
think
sounds like it's a lot nicer way of saying you can't polish a turd.
Can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
There you go. But I feel like I can put the appropriate accent on that phrase. So if you allow me, in a very special Coronation Theater.
Oh,
You can't
apparently,
put
everyone says
first.
that's a very common term, a very common phrase.
Who's that?
Everybody apparently says it's a common phrase.
Let's see. That's old. Yes. Oh yeah. Not an uncommon phrase. All right. Well, I'm just saying.
Guess it's just the three of us, fellas. I guess we're the only ones that have never heard.
I guess we're a bunch of troglodytes over here.
I'm country, but I ain't that country.
Yeah, I gotta say, folks, I didn't. Wow.
You need to see it. You can't make a silk purse from a sow's ear.
Ed Orgeron should try that one. Can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Go Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I just think it shows that we have a lot of 70, 80, and 90-year-olds in the chat tonight. So just kidding. All right. Let's see. This was earlier. Justin Raji said, "You're speaking my language, Hoss."
I think I was about hiring North Dakota State's head coach if we were in that position.
I tell you, if I told you what time he said that comment, you'd probably be able to go back through your mind and be like, yeah, no, 9:33. Is that what you're talking about at 9:33, 25 minutes ago?
Eidetic memory, man. It's a blessing and a curse.
Come for the hairline, stay for the ageism. Not that old. Sorry, guys. Ed Orgeron for defensive coordinator. What do you say?
Has never called defensive plays in his life. He has never been a coordinator.
So why do they think that'd be a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a splash hire. It's just not a good hire.
No, we need an expert. We honestly need somebody that understands the lay of the land in this conference.
How much would it cost to hire Phil Parker?
I don't know if that. I mean, you want to talk curmudgeons. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore of curmudgeons. I read something the other day. He's tweeted only 5. He tweeted his 5th tweet on Friday.
After the game?
All the other ones came after they beat us. So, I mean, like, this guy's like player hater of the year right here. And I don't think, I mean, he's, for all we know, he's probably like married to Kirk Ferentz's sister.
Oh. All right. Well, we said we want to try to keep this at about an hour. It's about an hour. We don't know who we're going to play in a bowl game, but we will be here after that bowl game to overreact one more time. Right, guys? One more time this season.
Yep. And I'm gonna go on a limb here. You know, I usually try to be realistic and bordering on optimism. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth after the bowl game for this episode.
After this episode?
No, like when we have an episode after the bowl game.
Oh.
It's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Hey, I'm going to ask you both. Win or lose that bowl game. I want you to come to the show with your most generous interpretation of the game.
Will you give us a little bit of an example on most generous interpretation?
After we watch the game, I'll have a better idea.
We got off the bus and the plane didn't crash, so that was good.
Do you want me to go like Jerry Burns, Minnesota Vikings rant from like 87? John will know what I'm talking about. Where I'm pretty sure he says the word fuck about 37 times in 5 minutes.
John says, and this is our boss talk, he says, we need to react when Dylan Raiola leaves. I don't know if
honestly,
he says when. So,
hey, Fred, we were gonna drink beer, but we didn't win, bud.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was going to be the celebration.
Yeah, blame Matt Rule for that one, Fred.
Yeah. That
idea died on the vine. It petered out.
We all had 12 packs ready to go tonight. I wouldn't buy
after this season, it might be, mescaline. I don't even know what that is, but that sounds a lot. I don't know.
You need something for this depression.
It sounds frightening.
Being a Husker fan, it's got to be like being addicted to like some sort of hardcore drug. You know it's bad for you. You just stop yourself.
I just said it. Yeah, talked to my dad Saturday morning. I was like, dude, this feels like I've developed like this is like, I don't mean to make light of this, but like battered wife syndrome, where like I love Nebraska even though it's incredibly abusive to me. Yeah,
it impacts my physical, mental, and emotional, and I will even say this, my spiritual health.
Yeah, and to be clear, like not making light of that syndrome, that's a tragic thing. But
I don't know if Keen is. This quote is supposed to be like a Donald Trump impersonation or something. I don't have a Trump voice, but he says, we have the best shit shows. Everyone says so. Everyone says, wow, you have the best shit shows.
We have the best shit shows. Everyone says so.
I know. I can do this. Like, Brian says that all the Raiolas are wrapping the glassware in newspaper as we speak. So we'll see. Look, speculate all you want. We won't know until a decision is made or not made. Some social media post is made or not made. We don't know.
Do you think he'll do a LeBron-style decision? I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
Or I'm taking my talents to – you think that's where to go?
I would say Miami, Arizona State, or –
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Penn State becomes an Adidas school next year.
Wouldn't that be interesting if we lost 2 quarterbacks to Arizona State? Jeff Sims.
Well, if Raiola leaves and Lateef were to leave, I'd say go get Sam Levitt at Arizona State.
Okay.
We'll just do a big
trade.
Yeah.
Just a swap.
It's the player carousels. It's like the coaching carousel, but not as much fun. So
I wanted Levitt last year.
Yeah, I did too.
We'll see. All we can say is we don't know what tomorrow brings for Nebraska football, coaching, players. We don't know what tomorrow brings for any of us. So all we can do is live our very best lives today and soak up every minute, hopefully with family, with friends, with loved ones, because that's what really matters. Nebraska football is just the icing on the cake. It is the potato to the steak of life, right? It's a wonderful addition, but the people that you see every day, those relationships that you have, that is the most important. That's the meat. That's what we all need, the sustenance for life. So I would say as Haas told me before this show, we got to take this Iowa loss and flush it down and move forward. That's what I encourage everybody to do tonight, moving forward with whatever may come our way in Nebraska football. We've got each other. We'll be here. I'll be here on Thursday night for the 5 Heart Podcast. Fred and Minnie will be here tomorrow night for Monday Night Therapy. And Andy will have Huskers Happy Hour on Tuesday night. And then we will be here next time there's really something to react about. Maybe it is big player news. Maybe it's the bowl game. But
maybe it's Matt Rule leaves for Penn State. Conjecture.
I wasn't prepared for that. So. But we'll be here together as this coordination community, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. For Haas, for Jake, I'm Greg Mahachko. For Coordination Overreaction saying, go Big Red. Haas.
Find a way to get better.
All right, Jake.
Keep your head up. You're still the University of Nebraska. You still have pride. We'll get through this.
That's all we can do. One day at a time. I forgot to hit the button.